All right, it's time to kick it going here, guys. I just had some remarks I was giving to somebody, and it didn't want to be quoted incorrectly. So, all right, let's get the show started. We're gonna cut it short. All right, we're gonna cut it a little bit short. All right, none of the extra rolling there. All right, welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them and share them far and wide. Before we get into just going over the survey, and I have some stuff I want to read you. We have some new polling we want to share with you too, which was like a completely different side project that we're doing, but a little bit of it is public. So I just wanted to share a couple of things here because like going and doing these shows, like everybody who does this, whether you got like a podcast like this or you put on a bigger production or something, in this alternative media space, whatever it is that you want to call it, it is in part like, people are human beings and you have like other things going on. And you always have to go like and hit play or live and then like try to be the best, like, that you can be in front of the camera. And sometimes when I just like feel like I just can't do it, it's probably just better for me to tell you, And so I gotta be honest, I'm gonna be a little bit off today. Um because I'm like because I am having some contradictory things going on. It's like really struggling with it. So it's just no way to put on the happy, like it's no way to put on a face, like it is what it is. So it's just like the worst possible decision of what you should do kind of thing. And and I mean, I'll even share it with you guys right now. Like I very much want to go out west to be there for the event on Sunday. And I have some other things that I just could not stop and I could not postpone. And it's like, I'm just pissed off. I'm just mad at it. I'm unhappy. I know this is going to be something that I'm going to regret for a very long time. And I'm getting a little resentful. I mean, that's, like that's it. I actually think I might sit for once, which you guys know how I am. I don't really like to sit, but the chair is here for a reason. Yeah, I'm just like unhappy, and part of it is par for the course. Like everybody's going to be there, and I think this is part of maybe like something that a lot of people don't realize sometimes, which is that this is an extended family. It is. It's an extended family. People's wives knows people's wives. Everyone knows each other's kids. We're all, friends and together because we're all kind of trying to do the same thing, which is give people, I mean, on a more like materialistic note, give people a different alternative to no matter what angle or side of the aisle or political persuasion we all come at it from, or whatever our own little mission is. Like we're here trying to give people accurate facts, period. So we're over here trying to teach people about how polling is done and give people information that, can kind of resuscitate the Gallup mission that has been crashed and burned. George Gallup would be literally rolling in his grave to see what happened to the polling industry. Look at, by the way, AP today, the AP NORC poll. Why? Because in alternative media polling, which has been better, Trump is very clearly on some kind of a rebound. I don't know if it's temporary or what, and we'll find out. And that's all the political side. But they drop an absolutely ludicrous poll today on cue because they're deceivers. And I think that's what I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. And I think that's what this comes down to. There's a lot of deception in the world, and this being a deceiver is evil. And that's what we all do. It's like an extended family of fighting evil. And it's horrible to use that language, but I kind of want to throw out everything I have to talk about today, which, I mean, I'm not throwing it out because it was part of it, obviously, that we were going to talk. It's been 8 days since Charlie was killed. His funeral, we haven't even had his funeral yet, and we haven't even said goodbye to him. And they're right back to using the same assassination rhetoric. Like that, what else do we call it? Like, they're right back to it. It's the same way that they're right back to the bogus polls a week after they botch an election so badly. They should be so humiliated. They should be hiding under a rock. But they're not. Just like they're not sorry that people are getting killed because of lies and deception. So, as you can imagine, that's very much what I wanted to do. And in an effort to see if I could and then there's, by the way, there's professional stuff and there's like family stuff. Just for you guys don't know, like both of my kids are celebrating a birthday this weekend. And both, by the way, one of them only one is old enough to really understand. Well, not really. She knows what's going on. Like I said, we all know each other and each other's families. And she's like, Dad, go. Like, I'll have other birthdays. You won't be able to say goodbye to Charlie except for one time. So, yeah. But then there's other stuff that I just obviously could not avoid. And then by the time I thought I could avoid it, it appears to have been too late. Anyway, I'm just really pissed off about the whole thing. I really am. So it's a little hard, to just sit here and bounce around and be happy and pretend, do what I normally do, which I normally am very happy. And I am. I'm a happy guy, but I'm also, I am just a guy. That's, I guess, what it comes down to. All right, let's get into some of that polling here before we get into some of the other questions. By the way, Life of Brian. Man, as we were going over this, I really loved your suggestion, and it is going in the survey, though I'm going to change the wording just a little bit, but I think you got to the point of what I was trying to get to that day on the show, about the difference between the YouGov snap poll questions that really, it's not bad to add them, but it's not going to help us identify where the real line is for people. And people lie. Shocker, I just went on a tangent about liars for 10 minutes. People lie during polling interviews, during survey research, interviews for survey research. They do. And sometimes you have to word a question and approach something one way to elicit the correct response out of them, not what in their minds they think is correct, but the actual correct response. So I really think you did a good job with that on this one in particular, which we'll talk more about later. But since I brought it up, I do want to say we're going to have what is really called like a matrix format. And a matrix format, if you were taking it online, for instance, and I'll show it to you in a bit, but it's basically like a grid, And you will have instructions, or if someone's interviewing, you give them a prompt. It'll say something like, please tell us whether you agree or disagree with each of the following statements. And that's why they call it a matrix, because then you have your rows, you have your columns with your choices. It'll be a very typical scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree, with the option of I have no opinion, right? Or I'm unsure. And this one, I think, is so far my favorite one. There are some political positions or factions so awful that bad actions against them should be tolerated. That is open to interpretation just enough that people can rationalize and in their minds why they can agree with that statement, but not open to interpretation so much that you'll miss the capture of the people that we're really trying to find. So they can't, it's like you can fall into only people who believe in humanity and the sanctity of human life will not get caught in the trap of a question like that. And isn't that what we're trying to do here? The others will rationalize in their heads, like the federal government, which, by the way, I also put a section on this. Political violence in America has a very long history of being carried out by the federal government. And I think we're going to find that depending on the target, some people think that's just perfectly okay. Certain agencies and bureaus in the federal government thought it was completely justified to gun down a human being as long as they, could label him as militant or unpeaceful. I mean, people who value human life and the protections in the Constitution, then, that whole point of the thing called a revolution, we would think, okay, he's militant, he's violent. Okay, arrest him. Hold a trial for this person if he's done something to break the law. But not our own government on many occasions. Nope. They just decide, or they think they did. They don't think they can. They do think they can, but then they do it. This guy's changing too many minds. This guy's too many dangers. He's got to go. And we just moved on from these things. I feel like we're in a bit of a cycle in this country, are we not? This is like the instability of the 60s or something all over again. And I'm not that much of a fan of it. You need me for something? I'm in the middle of doing something. Is this like a family party? The camera is on if you're going to walk in front of it.
We need it.
What? Oh my, are you seriously interrupting my show right now for the remote control?
This is serious business.
That is serious business. Let me look in my compartmentalized mind and tell you the last time that I saw that remote. Did you lift the cushions?
Yes.
Then you need to look in the back of my chair. Like, say Daddy's standing up at his recliner, watching television.
As one does.
I was eating my wrap, and I seem to remember having the remote on the top of the chair, which made the dog, I'm thinking, envisioning the dog jumping up on the chair, then knocking it just enough that it would fall down in leather. So you have to look back behind the chair and go see. It may be in that little hole. It may have fallen down in that little hole. Otherwise, I'm going to blame this 6-year-old boy. Okay? I love you, Pumpkin. That's my pumpkin umpkin, who's actually this. She got me this coffee cup.
Amazing, I know.
She's the best daughter ever. It says good morning, pumpkin. Get it? She thought it was cute because I always go, good morning, pumpkin. All right. Where were we? You know what? We'll come back to the 60s. I just see parallels to it a lot. And the only difference I think I see is that there are new ways to nudge people to do their bidding. Discord is the modern day mosque restaurant meetup where the FBI nudged 3 men from the Newark Mosque to kill Malcolm X. One of which, by the way, if you've watched the show before, you know, never spent time in jail for it. He was a serial woman abuser, physically and sexually, and he lived till ripe old age in Newark, New Jersey, and the Democratic lieutenant governor even went to his funeral. Meanwhile, 2 other guys went to prison, and they didn't fire the shots that actually killed Malcolm X. Why? Because he was protected. He did what they wanted to do. It just seems like everyone who's effective, like I'm not grasping how some people don't see patterns. Everybody who's effective, everyone who's changing minds is in danger. You change the mind of the white sympathizer in America during the civil rights movement, and you're the peaceful one, you get your brains blown out. You change the minds of the scared, and I won't use but in the black community, obviously back then they used the different term, like Malcolm himself would have used the term Negro, right? You change the mind of the black community in fear, and you get your brains blown out. If you change the minds of young people, and you're the most successful than anybody's ever been, you take a bullet to the neck. It just seems like, honestly, whatever it is in this world of ours, which is filled with evil, people who try to make a change to what they feel to be a more just environment are in danger. And it's and I don't know how some people just don't see that. And when Laura and I were talking about it, she's just, like, why? Because they don't actually kill the ideas of these people, no matter who it was or what their motive was. They never succeed in actually killing their ideas or what they stand for. And my answer was fairly straightforward and simple. Maybe that's not what they're doing. It has always been the case that, especially America is such a great example of this, regimes like to pit domestic populations against each other, especially when they're not very good at what they claim to be doing, such as governing. And when different people have similar grievances, who's really to blame for it? And when someone comes along and threatens to open people's eyes to that, Aristotle's old allegory. But something would happen if you realized that was just shadows on the wall. Like we're not, in case of Charlie, I mean, he was showing young people that the boogeymen that the system, convinced them, it exists, and that they're the ones who are to blame for all of their grievances. They're not the ones they should be focused on. The boogeymen are actually the ones that they think are their salvation. All right. I mean, I'm just like kind of a little bit ranting here a little bit, but all right, I want to get this out of the way quickly because I do want to just show you, and I'll retweet it. I forgot to even go and retweet it from Rasmussen, but it's an article on Real Clear Politics right now. It's not even an article. It's more just a synopsis. So I got together with Robert Cahaley and Matt Towery and Mark Mitchell, and we just all did a giant collaboration together. And one of the things that we have put out is a generic ballot, and we're trying to figure out. We're not trying to. This happened after we had decided to do this project, and it was a weird decision on when to go out into the field and do it. We before this all had pretty. I don't want to say sizable, but significant, statistically significant leads for Democrats on the generic ballot. But not only that, sense of Republicans, like when you're a pollster, when certain groups of people are just asleep. I don't really know how else better to put it, but they're asleep. And this poll, in part, well, I'll let the article speak for itself. So we'll be tracking this for a while, and we're gonna be doing it together. All right. And oh man, that stinks, man. Is that the tag or that's yeah? I thought it was under. You know what? Rich is just fine. We can chop the Richard for all I care. All right. As for the nation's most accurate pollsters, we recently formed the National Association of Independent Pollsters, the 4 founding member organizations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're doing a survey of likely voters asking which party they prefer in the next midterm election. I want to point out the Washington Post's poll right here. We talked about this actually before the 2024 election. That is not how you ask a generic ballot. The way the Washington Post asked the generic ballot is a way that has been proven time and time again to 1, favor Democrats, and 2, be significantly different than the actual vote intention question. They're doing it on purpose. All right. And you can see we're asking a vote intention. And we're asking it 2 ways. This is very different from the wording of the Washington Post, which if I can, I will show you or I will read to you really quickly. The Washington Post, Monmouth, they all know that this is not a correct way to do it. If there ever was a true debate in the past, that debate is over. We were right. They were wrong. And by we, I mean those who believe vote intention has to be explicitly stated. As compared to what? As compared to saying, which party would you like to see control Congress next year? Like that is a total bullshit question. Okay, that is not at all the same as if the midterm congressional elections next fall were held today, for whom would you vote? Or in the 2026 midterm congressional elections next fall, for whom would you most likely vote? That is totally different than saying, I prefer the Democratic Party control Congress. I prefer the Republican Party. It doesn't sound all that different, but believe me, it is. And it has been demonstrated over and over again now, sometimes significantly. If you've been a watcher or supporter of the Public Polling Project for a while, you might remember when we actually, I believe it was in 2021, when we showed you that the difference between margins and the difference in the results for those 2 questions can be considerable. Sometimes it can be negligible, but it will always be different. And it is very great risk that it is significant, 7 points, even, 8 points, large differences. In the 2026 congressional elections, if they were held tomorrow and you had to decide, it is a leaning question designed to remove those that we believe will not vote. All right. Get into that later. For whom would you vote? You can see that is a much closer race. Republicans have more than 3 percentage points in support. Democrats only more than 2. It is not much closer, but it is closer. And you would notice that the undecided falls from 12 percentage points to undecided and then would not vote. This allows us to figure out, again, who should be removed later on from the likely voter models. All right. So tracking it over time, I've kind of made this analogy in the past. It's better to track over time than it is to just jump in the field. Think about it like you swim on a daily basis. You're constantly dipping your toe into the water. You have an idea of the temperature of the pool. If you just decide to just jump in out of nowhere, you will be in shock about what the temperature of the pool will be. So it is better to track it over time. There's a couple of things that we should know. Republicans would be unwise to assume that this will translate into a winner in the year 2026. All right. That Democrats get very, very unfavorable numbers. All right. So if you ask people if they like the Democratic Party, it is abysmal right now. 30% are basically telling us that, they like the Democratic Party. I have a very favorable opinion of the Democratic Party, and single digits for somewhat. So they're not only unpopular, the intensity level is against Democrats as far as how people view them. Okay. But it's not translating into more votes for Republicans. And that's a big deal. In 22, we do know that, before the 22 elections, you could see that there was a much bigger lead, and then it narrowed before the actual contest. A good demonstration is the difference between the ABC News poll and the New York Times poll. And then we know from our last pre-election polls that Republicans were leading on the generic ballot. We were actually, most of us were dead on. Rasmussen, myself, we were actually, all four of us did very well with the actual House vote nationwide. But as most will recall, it turned out to be a less than spectacular year for the Republican Party. Again, they would be unwise. Republicans would be unwise to think that Democratic weakness, especially without Donald Trump on the ballot, will translate into electoral success. That is not what is happening right now. All right. So speaking of our friend Charlie, we can see that it's, that the surveys did start prior to the actual assassination. There were field days, obviously, that did take that into account. Most notably, the ones that we conducted over at Big Data Poll, which was interesting. We were kind of like taking turns, it was cool. But we got that unfortunate period. And what we did see was a pretty considerable uptick in participation from Republicans, coupled with, that's not all that is driving the narrowing, or did drive the narrowing of the generic ballot. Very clearly, independents went from a large margin for Democrats to like barely favoring them. So we'll see if that lasts, but I haven't seen that since. I can actually go and look. Let me go and look. Press release section on Big Data Poll, because we did this publicly. Was what? Damn, what is the date of this article? That's July. Okay, Democrats took a lead in July. So yeah, we haven't seen that at all since May of 2025. Okay, so this year. So it was the first real movement that we have seen among independents. African American support for Republicans is pretty significant right now, which was interesting. It does seem that especially urban, younger Black men have not eroded in support for Republicans. Meanwhile, others have, for sure. Interesting enough, Charlie, 18 to 29-year-olds only favor Democrats by about 10 points, brother. So, like, that is a remarkable narrowing. If you guys would go back to our surveys in 22 and 24, even, because Republicans did not get as many young votes as Donald Trump overall, even compare that to 18, you will see the old 65-35 split in our 18 generic ballot among 18 and 29-year-olds that favored Democrats. So, turnout and voter intensity will be crucial, and we'll continue to look at that going forward. The reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination has sparked a national expression of grief and a renewed determination among younger voters to continue his efforts. We will see, though. It is a year over the elections, and I hate to sit here and even talk about how this will impact an election or has impacted one party at all, because I really can't stand the idea of doing that right now. But it was the unfortunate timing of this survey that I have no choice but to acknowledge that, if in a month or 3 months from now, there's something very different. Maybe this survey goes back to looking like it did in August, for instance, then we'll know that this was a reaction to Charlie's untimely removal from this in life. All right. There's also a very good article on Real Clear Politics by Susan Crabtree, who is an excellent journalist. If you guys have not, come to be familiar with her yet, and it's about Secret Service at this event this week, this Sunday, at his funeral and at Cardinal Stadium, obviously. Yeah. So where is interestingly enough, I'm looking for something here. Let's just go to Real Clear Polling and find it. I would like to show you the difference if we have the time, which I think we do. All right, generic vote. Here's the vote. Where's the Washington Post poll? They didn't put it up yet. All right. Well, interestingly enough, we can see just from this, while Democrats clearly have a lead and do on our generic ballot as well, and we are much closer to The Economist, for instance. Let me see if I can find the WAPO poll on. I mean, I saw it and I was going to comment on it, but here it is. Yeah, I mean, it's indefensible between the AP and ORC poll, which is one of the worst polls in the business. It is the worst poll in the business. I think it is actually the worst poll in the business. Let me look at Dave. Dave, you're always posting everything, buddy. You must have posted this. Let me look. Dave over at Interactive Polls, or IA Polls 2022. He should change his name, by the way. I think they're going to find like a 10-point lead for Democrats or something. It's ridiculous. But also, even more to the point, the difference in the question is just ludicrous. It's ludicrous. I don't know why he hasn't posted it yet. It's weird. Usually he's super quick and he's all over it. But you'll see what I mean. It will say something along lines of, which party do you prefer to control Congress? Like that is not a vote intention question. We know that, and we should just cut it. You will notice the difference, and I love that he did this. Let me actually show this. I'll have to remove this, guys, in order to show this. Remove that. Oops. Sorry, my bad. Kill it. There we go. Thank you. The whole entire thing has to come down. All right, if you look at what Dave is trying to say right here and what he's trying to point out is that this is ridiculous. This is not legitimate. You're not supposed to see huge differences like this. And of course, the AP NORC poll is probably one of the worst polls ever. Clinton plus 13, 2016. Biden plus 14, 2020. Had Kamala Harris winning by, I believe, 5 points or more, maybe 7 or something, in 2024. But what was even worse about it is that they had Kamala Harris close to Trump, if not leading, on issues that we knew Donald Trump had a lead on. Abortion, she had like a 30-point or 30-something point lead, when we know among abortion voters, she barely won them. Among those who cited threats to democracy as their top voting issue, they had Kamala Harris significantly ahead. She lost that vote to Donald Trump, and she lost it because nobody was thinking about January 6th when they were thinking about threats to democracy by the time the election came up. They were acting as if it was still 2021 or 2 or something. People were thinking about lawfare and the abuse of legal offices to persecute political opponents on the right. And Donald Trump actually won the threat to democracy vote. And of course, he clapped her on immigration. She was close on inflation and the economy. It was almost tied on the economy, who you trusted to handle the economy more. That was totally asinine. He blew her out with those issues. The only one she ever had a lead on was climate change, a solid lead on climate change. Even abortion, union issues, these were close, very, very close. I think Trump won the union issue vote, in fact. I'd have to go back and check on it, but I believe he did. All right, so polling should not differ this much. And just as you have Rasmussen, Remington Research, and the entire collaboration project that I'm on, very clearly finding a resurgence in Donald Trump's approval rating, support for Republicans in the generic ballot, all of this, even right track, wrong track, frankly, came up in hours, a few points, and not as much as others, but we did see a rebound in right track, wrong track. Oh, by the way, and also which I'll give away right now, and I'll just tell you guys, a slight approval. People actually approve of Donald Trump sending National Guardsmen to cities to fight crime. Like, I was blown away by this. I was thinking to myself, this is not going to be popular. If not during this period, because I think Democrats have won the messaging war on it. Well, I was wrong. Is it close? It's close. It's not a blowout, but a majority supports Donald Trump sending the National Guard into urban areas with high crime rates. I mean, I was like, what? But it's there. And just as all of these people that have had better track records in recent elections find this rebound like clockwork, the Washington Compost and the Absolute Piss put out polls like this. Not even WAPO could get it that bad. Oh my God. So, yeah, it's not, there's no legitimate reason, guys, for something like that to be happening. There's just no legitimate reason. All right. What time is it? Is it 12:40 already? My God. Gonna have to stop and let me just make sure I don't have to do that. I don't think I do. I just want to make sure. Okay, good. All right. So, when we come back, I'm just going to take a 30-second or so break. We're literally going to talk about what else I'm going to put in here. I want to show you what I meant. I'm going to write it as I have it written up on other things, but I'm going to show you what I meant. And we're going to do, I don't know what I'm going to call the section yet. I'm literally going to write something as I put it on the screen. And then I'm going to remove some questions from the template survey, because of course we have a template, like a question bank of what a national survey is. And I have what I want to do on a Google Doc. And I think from there, we'll start to add some stuff. We're going to get more into these prompting questions, but for now, it's right around that time we would normally ask certain questions regarding individual topics. Of this time, I want to put it into its, again, we'll probably choose the matrix format or something and say, well, I don't want to blow it. Chill out, we'll come back in 30 seconds and I'll actually do it right in front of you. All right, don't forget, if you like the videos, like them, share them far and wide, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. I think I want to say, how likely do you believe? And I want to take Mark Robert's suggestion, which is to say something like, how likely do you think it was, or do you think it is, that a government entity or a government agency, which is what Mark said, but I like entity better, had some involvement in each of the following political assassinations, and I want to list them. And I want to say, and why am I doing this? First of all, I want to know overall what that is. But secondly, when we see the responses to the other questions, like the one I read out before, or is it ever acceptable, to commit acts of political violence against those you either don't agree with or have deemed, harmful or dangerous? Because I think that's what we're trying to get at. That and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but this is a bit of a hypothesis I have, that at some point people believe it's not just about disagreement anymore, that these targets, they become targets, actually are a threat to them, or actually are viewed as potentially harming them. They're like a threat to their personhood. And that's why what I see on social media all day, every day, pisses me off so much, because there's clearly the same accounts like this guy. Hold on, I actually want to point this guy out. I normally don't like giving people any notoriety whatsoever, but I do believe that we're seeing a slew of these people, that are constantly coming up on my threads over and over again, even though I don't follow them. And I'm wondering what on earth is going on here. Like this guy right here. I don't follow this guy. I see him every day. Okay. I'm not even going to say his name out loud in case people are listening. I don't want you to risk going and following him. All right. And you can see how some of these replies, these guys think they're so smart, but this is an account that after Charlie was shot, immediately went online and started pointing out that I'm telling you right now, this is going to be one of their own, and this is what you get for spewing hate. Okay. And then clearly pushes every narrative, like typical leftist narrative. Bookmark this, it'll be a MAGA shooter. Bookmark this, he'll be white, he'll be straight, right? And he'll be MAGA. And then when some information came out, which was an unclear picture about the shooter, all weekend long, this account and the other one, which is a female, I don't know if I'm going to show them all, they all are saying the same thing, which is not coincidental, guys. It's not. And they're all, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. Then they go right back to, where's my other example of it? Hold on, I'm getting the other one. Where are you? Then they go right back to the use of assassination rhetoric like this. Okay, where are you? Put it up. Let's go. Why is that not working? Can we please put this up? Thank you. We go right back to assassination rhetoric like this, right? Trump is a racist scumbag. Ilhan Omar never married her brother. This is a blatant lie. Okay, two things. One, that is racist, fascist, all the ists. What these words suggest is that the people who they are saying these things about are actually a threat to somebody. If he's a racist, I don't know how you could be a racist against a religion, by the way. But if he's a racist, it means he intends to do harm to you. My good friend Sebastian Gorka, who now works, of course, on the National Security Council, sent me a collection that I have to go back and count them. A collection of times that they polled. And by the way, I saw he tweeted like 5 or 10 of them or something like that. There's way more of times when high profile Democrats, at the time Joe Biden's president, at the time Kamala Harris was the Democratic nominee, there are chairmen and women on this collection. They're all saying the same thing, that like Trump and others are a threat to you. The word threat is used hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times within a 48-hour period by all of these different social media accounts. And it's not just these guys that they have being, there's no doubt the Krassenstein people are being boosted. I don't follow the Krassensteins, as you can see right here, but I'm constantly saturated by their material on a daily basis. So, and by the way, it doesn't matter. Again, Ilhan Omar, whether she married her brother or not, it doesn't matter. Simply saying she does not make you a racist. Again, look at the timestamp. 8 days, guys. 8 days. 7 in this case. Since Charlie was shot. And they're right back to using the rhetoric that we all know is responsible for getting people to this point. And by the way, Tucker said something that I just found to be completely true. This is the result of these lies. Like, he totally agrees with what we've been saying, which is this is really about the lies. So when it's a question of, do we pull Jimmy Kimmel off the air, right? Is it wrong for the is it wrong to use a federal commission or agency to police or pressure and remove people from the air? That's a separate question altogether. But I think I don't think I believe this, and I'm happy to hear that Tucker also does believe it. The fact of the matter is that Jimmy Kimmel engaged in the same kind of, first of all, it's false. These are lies. That's what's so important. He tried to make a joke, tying in a lie that the shooter was MAGA, and it's not a harmless joke. It's not a harmless joke. So I'm not sure the government pressure is the right, and you guys, I'm sure many of you are going to have a very different opinion than me, but it does still make me uncomfortable to see the government use their power to do that. I'm not going to pretend like I was, ever in Charlie's head enough to know about something like that. I'm not going to say, I think he would want this or that. Like, that's it, kind of besides the point. We're all here now, and we have to just point out the fact that the real answer, or the only answer, is to not accept this kind of manipulative behavior, this level of deception in our society. And again, I think what the reason why I want to ask the question about specific people who have been assassinated is I think we're going to find, and probably more on one side than the other, I think we're going to find certain groups of people saying, oh, it's fine or it is acceptable to use political violence if I feel like this person endangers me. Yet also say that the people who agree with them shouldn't be the victims of political violence no matter what. We're going to see people do these intellectual pretzels because we watch people doing it on social media every day. The group of people who's did nothing. Here's a good example right here of somebody who has never said one word, folks, about political censorship in America. His name's Joe Walsh. He's an absolute clown. He tried to be a right-wing hero during the Tea Party movement. He was quickly ascertained as a fraud and a deadbeat dad, by the way. And Dale Cooper, you're a deadbeat dad and you were rejected by decent people. Right. So now he's a Democrat. You see what happens? Like, this guy's a total piece of shit. And that me saying he's a piece of shit does not make anybody feel like Joe Walsh is a danger to them. But what Joe Walsh says makes other people feel that Charlie and others who loved him and supported him are in fact a danger to the people he is now targeting. This is one of the most despicable and disgusting exploitations of Charlie's murder that I have seen on the internet yet, or anywhere. Up until a week or so ago, whenever people ask me why I became a Democrat, I'd always say because I believe in democracy. What a load of horseshit. The rule of law and pluralism. We'll go through each one, okay? But ever since the killing of Charlie Kirk, when people ask me why I became a Democrat, I say because I believe in free speech, democracy, the rule of law, and pluralism. And actually, I'll go and show you exactly what I responded. And I just basically what I just said. But this little shit of a man, this little piece of shit, said absolutely nothing when social media companies partnered with the feds to censor true information and deplatform people. Nothing. He said nothing. Yours truly is on a spreadsheet that was later released by Jim Jordan, which was a product of one of those partnerships. On the spreadsheet, thank you for releasing it, by the way, Jim Jordan, you can see that they target me for spreading true
information they themselves concede can be verified on the government, that state government's own public-facing website. And yet I was still removed from this platform and only was later reinstalled because Tucker Carlson put me on his television show at 8 p.m. when he was still on Fox, and they relented because I got caught. He said nothing when the Twitter files were released. Nothing. But he believes in free speech. He believes, and I can hear them laughing in the other room, he believes in democracy. Is that why he cheered on as the states of Maine and Colorado attempted to remove Donald Trump from the ballot? In democracies, the voters are the sovereign. Yet they tried, and he cheered this effort, to take the sovereignty away from the voter. He believes in democracy. He believes in the rule of law while he championed an investigation being run by the dirtiest federal prosecutor in at least that we know of. Only prosecutor to not once but twice be unanimously rebuffed by the U.S. Supreme Court because of his prosecutorial misconduct. This is a man who cheered on someone like Andrew Weissman, and he believes in the rule of law. You can't say you believe in pluralism when you lie about a political figure and their ideology because you don't agree with them. And you use the language of assassination. And let's face it, what you hope will create an opportunity for some nutcase to get a 30-odd and shoot them with it. Again, we're back. We are back to this already. I don't like, and on this free speech thing, again, I don't like people losing their jobs or whatever for things that they say. Personally, folks, I just don't like it. I'm uncomfortable with it. However, in the case of Jimmy Kimmel, they are using this as an excuse to do what they didn't have the balls to do before. ABC knows this. Nobody watches Jimmy Kimmel anymore. Nobody. The real solution here is to just remove broadcast licensing altogether. Just abolish it. Because, man, when you get that license, it's a gold mine. You're going to get access to two things: advertisers and distributors, ad revenue, and the distributors that you need to get those programs out. Once the programs are out, you sell ad time. It's a golden ticket. And they have used those golden tickets to do two things. One, keep out other people like yours truly and Charlie Kirk. And others, many others who have some presence in this alternative media space. And two, they have abused it thoroughly. They abused it like Jimmy Kimmel abused it. And I don't know if Jimmy Kimmel was being sincere or not, or he's just an idiot who reads everything that other people write for him to say on a stupid show where he's basically like a monkey at the Bronx Zoo. It doesn't matter though. He has routinely used that platform to push lies, dangerous lies, and cloud it in comedy. Dangerous lies. The Russia hoax. Yet another person multiple people actually there were victims of political assassins. And it's even more disgusting because he couches it like in the language of comedy, like it's supposed to be funny. Watch any Netflix special and you'll see other people do it too. The Very Fine People hoax was used in that. Who's that dude who's always in like the comedy videos? I think he's Korean, but he's Asian. I always forget his name. He can be funny until he goes on and on about the Very Fine People hoax and the Russia hoax and how this one's anti-gay and wants to, stone gay people, and this one's that. I mean, just they have abused this unique position they're in. They wouldn't even have that unique position if we just, well, people like Jimmy Kimmel wouldn't anyway, if we just got rid of broadcast licensing. Anyway, the bottom line is, and I started with this point, is that Jimmy Kimmel wasn't really fired, guys, because of backlash from the Trump administration. He was fired because he sucks and nobody watches him. That's true. Nobody wanted to distribute his product. Nobody wanted to advertise with him. His ratings weren't good. And they took the opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. Get him off the air, find something better that can actually bring more revenue in, and let's blame the right for being against free speech. Again, I will point out this distinction, even though I don't like this, okay? The left was attempting to censor ideas. And they were attempting to censor people whom they didn't agree with based on their political ideology. The right wants people held accountable for being disgusting people, for being bad people. You cheer the death of another human being because you think he doesn't agree with you. You're a bad person. It's evil to do that. If you're Jimmy Kimmel, you little piece of shit, and you think it's okay to lie and malign an entire movement using Charlie's death to do it, and then have the balls, the audacity to pretend like it's comedy, you're a bad person. And the right isn't saying take these people off the air because I don't agree with them. The right is saying take them off the air because they're bad people. So one is a political element in society trying to police people and ideas that they don't agree with and censor them and shut them down and shut them up. The other one is about morality and truth, and it's society trying to police their own when they behave in a way that should not be acceptable to that society. Cicero said that a society's laws is a reflection of their values. What do ours say about us? Better. What do our actions say about us? It's 3:02 already. We didn't even get too much into it. Anyway, let me show you what I'm struggling with if we're not going to write a bunch of stuff down right now. What I'm struggling with is what is appropriate to keep in this survey if we're going to keep this at all remotely political. Generic ballot needs to go. That's out of here. Okay? We're not doing that. Okay? That's out of here. We will need political affiliation, of which what I'd like to add here, guys, is a thing in the question bank that's, okay, for instance, how I can explain this even better. Let me go up here. All right, so you saw right there, let's go to political affiliation, party identification. Let's see that. Come on. Okay, so you see how for identification detail, we have long had this, that when someone says they're a Republican, we will ask them, what type of Republican would you consider yourself to be? I think it's about high time that when somebody says they are a Democrat, because I was thinking about doing this in reply to ideology, because we are, of course, studying political violence, and we need to know what ideologies are more prone to political violence or cause of political violence, right? Instead of when someone says they're a liberal, then asking them where they fall on the spectrum, or when they're conservative, where they fall on the spectrum. I was thinking of doing it much more in the line of what we do for Republicans. So does that mean you're MAGA or you're traditional Republican? And when someone says they're independent or something else, we'll say, okay, well, would you say your views are more closely aligned with the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, or maybe equal or none whatsoever? You share little in common with either. We should handle the left the same way. So when somebody says, I am a Democrat, we should ask them, which, or more specifically, do you identify with, or which more do you identify with? And then we could say things like socialism, democratic socialism, progressivism, traditional liberalism. That's how we should do this. Because we have to make up these categories, most of these categories, because our culture and our political discourse is so handicapped to favor Democrats, we don't even have buckets to put them in. We don't have known parameters, or use language. The right will say things like far left, right? But we don't have consensus language on where to even put Democrats. The fact of the matter is, we all know they have a growing Marxist wing of the party. They have a growing fascist wing of the party. And I don't say that the way that the left uses that term fascist. They use it with the ethnic component to it, which was a specific form of fascism we know as Nazism. But fascism has been around and has been practiced by other governments, and they don't use any ethnic component whatsoever. It is a economic and government definition, right? Fascists believe that there is a private sector, but there's this veneer of private sector control. Really, the government is in control of productivity. They're in control of labor. They're in control of capital, prices even. That is what the modern corporate Democratic Party wing is all about, guys. I'm not saying there's an ethnic component, so I'm removing this insinuation that the left pushes with that term fascism. I'm removing the insinuation that they want certain people dead. Because what does it mean when you call someone a fascist? Let's just say it out loud. They got to go before they put some people in an oven. Bye, Felicia. Isn't that what they mean? When they call you a fascist, what they mean is somebody better kill this son of a bitch before he puts us in an oven. Charlie wasn't a fascist. Donald Trump is not a fascist. Nobody on the American right is a fascist. They believe, they have a political philosophy that, by the way, runs adjacent to their actual personal philosophy, because their political philosophy is not the end all be all. To be a conservative or to be America first does not supplant a philosophy on life or spirituality. But nevertheless, that political philosophy is about limited government, less government control, less solutions to society's problems that are government focused. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to redirect them the way that we redirect. It would be something like this. And I know you guys have questions and I want to get to it. Let's do this. So it would be like something like this. Let's add a question here. We'll have to add logic to it. Of course, I'm getting binged. But it have to be something like this. More specifically, do you identify with which do you most identify? And I'll go back and change this a little bit more, but socialism. Democratic socialism. And then what would we be able to say? Traditional liberal, right? Something like that. And that would, and by the way, it would have to be logic and only answer if you do say that you are, in fact, a Democrat. Okay. For those of you who don't know what I'm doing. And then we do have a unsure, no opinion, right? Which will have to be pinned. Right. And the rest will be rotated. Okay. So you see where I'm going with this? I'm not in love and I'm open to suggestions. I'll send this questionnaire to locals if you guys want to bat it around. I am open to suggestions as always when we work on a collaborative project like this. Which also, by the way, I think, again, I say I'm not going to say things like this, but personally, I think Charlie would tell me to stay with my family, do with the family stuff, and run the race. Run the race. And that's like a little bit of a consolation, even though I am really, really pissed off. I want to go be with Andrew. I want to go be with JD. I'm really, really fucking mad. Anyway. All right. So yeah. I mean, if you guys got suggestions, let's open it up. Let's see. Because you guys always have a good one. This is so true. Dark Wing on locals. When an American leftist calls you a racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobe, or a threat to democracy, Nazi, etc., it is a target designation for unsound minds on social media to express their identity issues with violence. Oh, 100%. And also, there's something I just want to add here, guys, real quick before I forget. Where is it? Justifications for political violence. Okay, just favorability ratings, all that we're getting rid of. All right. Okay. Accountability and political violence. We're gonna call this one. Okay. And we're gonna say something to the effect of cancel. We're gonna say something to the effect of which please tell us which of the following. Please, I'm literally on the show. Hold on one second. All right. Please tell us which of the following, and actually I may break all of this up. Which of the following? Please tell us which of the following you believe contributes to political violence in America. And I'm probably going to change that. I'm probably going to say how responsible or how much, if any, do you feel corporate media, for instance, corporate media, culture and entertainment, politicians or political figures, right? Political groups, political organizations, the government agencies, right? Etc. How much, and then it would have to be something like, and I'm only doing this now because I may change it, but like I'm only doing this now in order to remember what I want to do here later. A great deal. A fair amount. Or quite a lot. Fair amount. Quite a lot. Something like that. Hold hold on. What is our usual here, guys? Hold on one second. I'm actually going to have to go back and look and see how we worded this. And don't worry, I'll get to your questions and stuff, guys. I mean, I'm essentially working with you right now. That's what we're doing. I'm essentially kicking this stuff around with you, you know? Let's see. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I know we did this in... Hold on. All right. A fair amount, not very much. We did. I want to stick to none at all. You know, and I'm only. These aren't going to be for this one specifically. I mean, this isn't going to be the end of it. I just want to get this down. Unsure or no opinion kind of thing. Okay. But basically, what is the point of this? Is, you know, how much accountability do people feel these institutions have? Am I missing anybody? You know, I don't know. Am I missing anything, guys? That's a good question, Thomas. I'm reading your question and I'll get to it. I'm reading yours too, Steven. I'm gonna get to all you guys. Wow. Okay, locals. There's a lot. Peppers, what we were talking about again? About DMing you. Can you remind me about that, Peppers? Yeah, but here's the thing. I am worried about you have his send off this weekend, and I am worried about the environment, the survey environment for this. I am. In other words, to some degree, I was waiting for things to kind of settle down, and I know that we're going to be waiting a while for things, if ever, to get back to normal, which I don't think is going to happen. But, you know, it's just the nature of people. We want the correct answers here, you know, and the media is going to crank it back up again because of Sunday services. Well, first of all, Sunday celebration, then his service. They're going to crank it up all over again. So I don't know that we'll get a chance to like have it in an even, you know, environment. I'm not sure we will, but remind me what I was supposed to DM you again. I can't remember. Campbell, let me read this out loud, buddy. I like this. Crew here, over the last week, it is crew, right? Because I recognize your picture. Yep. Over the last week, I've cried, I've prayed, and I've wondered what I could possibly do besides what I've already done, donating and such. Erica Kirk has shown more perseverance and fortitude and resolve in the last week than I probably will ever have. Don't sell yourself short. It's amazing what we can take. Also, it's potentially possible that a government entity had been involved in Charlie's assassination because this is the same FBI field office that gunned down Craig Robertson. Anyway, God bless him. May Charlie's memory be a blessing. I mean, we're going to not know the full story unless we demand cash give it to us. And I'm not saying there is anyone else involved. I'm just saying we deserve that. It took years for that role in the case of Malcolm X to become some public. We actually know so much more about his assassination than we do others. Martin Luther King's is just buried. And again, you know, it's something else Laura and I were talking about. At the time, Malcolm had been projected as a militant, you know, black supremacist, even though he did preach some violence as a form of self-defense and protection of his community. He did. But I would argue that that was it. But it doesn't matter anyway, because you get the violent one. And then what? You move on to the one who was nonviolent? So it really doesn't matter. Violent, nonviolent, it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. They kill people who are effective at exposing them and their failures. They kill people who are effective in creating unity. Every time Every time this country is on the trajectory to heal or get better or to progress, they do something. They elevate something, or they do something, or they exploit something. If they don't outright do it themselves, they exploit it. Every time. It never fails. Get the Civil Rights Act passed, boom, you blow Malcolm away. Get the Voting Rights Act passed, boom, you blow Martin Luther King away. Come on, man. Donald Trump is actually healing the nation, whether you thought so or not. We know it from polling. Race relations headed in the right direction. Hope for the future headed in the right direction. Right track, wrong track, headed in the right direction. Boom, COVID. He makes a political comeback, or he's about to make a political comeback, and some guy who we're all supposed to believe is some random dude with no help just happens to get past the allegedly most professional security detail service in the world to climb the top of a building in the prone row position with a direct line of sight to the most important man in the world. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know about you guys, but I just don't believe it at all. And they've given us no reason to believe it. That's why, and this was something else, by the way, Tucker had said, about people doing all these conspiracy theories and, that we don't, of course, have any even for yet. Can you blame them? It's almost like the default should be we have to expect there was some heinous thing. You know what I mean? Until proven otherwise, because they've done so many bad things. Because they've done so many bad things. Because they always are behind the lie. It's like always them. The Gulf of Tonkin's not real. WMDs aren't real. Steven. Mind if I put your comment up, actually? YouTube, I could put the comments up. That's why I like Rumble Studio, except for I think I put up YouTube comments on Rumble Studio, too. I just need it to behave as well as StreamYard, and then I will do it. StreamYard is still a little bit ahead, And so the way the format of our show, I don't mind doing it when I just pop on locals or something like that. I don't mind using it at all, especially for something like CarPlay or something. Although I'm driving with CarPlay, so it's a little hard. But even the camera angles and the position, the demo scenes that you can make, it's just easier on StreamYard. All right, Steven says, hey, Rich, love the show. I'm a 31-year-old black male, and yes, it started with Iran. 100%. You ready to cook or what? It's sad that nothing has changed. At this rate, I will never vote again because voting is not getting us out of this Zionist neocon dystopia. Oh, shit. But can you, I know, I mean, it's like, I understand everyone's frustration, no matter that, but that is how they win, Steven. It is. And it's like, but I get your counterpoint, which is like, well, are we winning? I get your counterpoint. I do. And I wish I had a better answer for you. I don't really have an answer for you right now. Like I will tell you this, it certainly doesn't help not voting, I guess, right?
Well, when they realize there's no more counter opposition, then what?
But it's like at some point there is a moral argument to make. Voting is still lending your support to somebody. And if they're not worthy of that support, then it's like a moral question of whether or not you should be just holding your nose to vote for these pieces of shit for the sake of voting for these pieces of shit. Whatever, baby. Can you give me a break today on this language thing?
No, because you will get a break every day.
I'm trying. I'm just not. All right. Thomas Grisby. Rich, does Trump risk a legitimation crisis if actions against Antifa aren't taken swiftly by the DOJ and FBI? If so, what's the time frame? Let me ask you a question, Thomas. And they're like, oh, they designated them a terrorist organization. So what? Cash, do you not have sufficient time to read a Discord message? Or is the problem there's some FBI profiles in those Discord messages? Why haven't these people who we all know, man, by now, even the public knows now, bro. It's not just people getting leaked stuff like me. We all know there's an entire group who knew this was going to happen. The public knows. Why aren't these people in handcuffs? I'm telling you, one thing Molly Hemingway had noticed, had said, had remarked, had whatever you want to call it. I don't, and she said this, I'm not sure Republicans understand the damage they can do to not only their own voters, like with their own voters, like Stephen, but with the entire nation by not doing enough, by thinking they can just kind of wait this out. I do think that this is already too long of a period of silence. Like, what's the matter? I mean, Cash couldn't help himself. He was tweeting all over the place. We got someone in custody. What? Rich, give him time to investigate. Okay, where's Cash's tweet saying they hauled in some friggin' furry they found on Discord who knew that Charlie was going to be shot? Like, he don't want to tweet no more. Cash is done tweeting. Maybe it is good that I stay home. Maybe it is. Everyone's going to come and what? The time frame is like, it does take time again for a lot of these truths to come out. But I mean, some of this, Thomas, is like black and white. Believe me, I've read the messages. I've seen them. Many of them. I'm sure not all of them, but I've seen them. They're obvious. Why aren't these people in a fucking dark hole right now? Like, I don't understand. Because I'm feeling like if it was you or I, we'd be in a hole. That's it. Can anyone seriously dispute that? We knew they wanted us dead. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't change it yet. We knew they wanted us dead. Even so, it's still a bit wild how much the established Democratic Party and the media that make up their modern Pravda want us in the ground, and Charlie's body isn't even cold yet. I mean, crew, they're all over Twitter right now. They're right back to it. They're right. We had a few days of an honest conversation about what may or may not be responsible behavior and words to use. Not to mention true or false. This is the biggest problem. True or false. You can say whatever you want, but you have the right to have whatever political views that you have. But do you have an unending right to lie about people? Let me put up Andrew's comments here. Because I think my buddy Andrew is 100% right. And Andrew, of course, was even closer. I mean, there's few people that would have been closer to Charlie than Andrew. This is what he said on this whole topic, by the way, because this is what it comes down to. At what point do we police these people? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here, Andrew, but I will let Andrew speak and give his take because nobody probably would know better. First of all, let's listen to what they say on CNN.
So one conservative that we can hear from on this is actually Charlie Kirk himself.
Oh my God.
Who, of course, it has been widely noted that he was gunned down when he was engendering debate, right? He was having debate with people that he disagreed with, that he agreed with, right? So he did an interview with Fox at one point where he talked about comedy, what it means to be made fun of. I won't characterize it. Let's watch it.
I look at this as a badge of honor. I laughed and I chuckled. I couldn't believe, honestly, at first, like, come on, this has to be some sort of AI troll, but turns out it's real. I'm excited to watch it because, look, we as conservatives need to be able to take a joke, right? We shouldn't take ourselves so seriously. That's something that the left has always done to great detriment to themselves and the movement. And look, again, they're professional comedians, they're probably going to roast me. And I think that's fine. I think that's probably one of the problems that we've had in our politics is that people can't take a joke.
Charlie Hook himself on that episode of South Park saying it's one of the problems we can't take a joke.
Okay, and let me just end it there. That, of course, is Media Busters. Okay, and I will say this one. In my own conversation with Charlie about South Park, he basically said, I was like, dude, you know, congratulations, bro. You got made fun of by South Park. Like, you have arrived, you know? And he goes, Rich, this feels kind of big, right? You know? And I'm like, yeah, it's big. It's a big deal. Like, congratulations, you know? And he's like, it's all God. That's what he wrote. That's what he said. But he did say exactly that. And we talked about this a lot, that we have to learn to joke again with each other when we don't. But this is different. And I think Andrew pointed this out, or at least there is a difference, though. There's a line and there's a difference. And I think Andrew is right. He says, my take, Charlie would have found Kimmel linking the assassination to MAGA an evil, destructive lie. Right. There's a difference between expressing your disagreement or your agreement and having the right to do that over a political position and free speech and all of that. There's a difference between that and just being evil and pushing lies. Lies are evil. You're like literally doing the devil's work by spreading darkness in the world with destructive lies. You're either a positive force in this world or you are a negative one. And someone who pushes destructive lies, which that is, because I don't care how many of your fake boosted left-wing accounts you have on social media pushing it, it is not true. His assassin was not MAGA. The picture of him in a MAGA shirt is fake. The image of his supposed donation to Trump's PAC is fake, which, by the way, one of their so-called voter file experts actually put out, as if he couldn't just have searched the kid up individually and looked up Washington County, dumbass, not Utah County. That was fake. He would not want the government to punish Kimmel, but he would have hoped the audience, the affiliates, and ABC would have enough good sense to do it themselves. And they did. This is the spin of this story. Again, which is what I said before. This is the spin of this story, that Donald Trump got on the phone, called his commissioner. He went ahead and pressured them, and ABC dropped him. Kimmel was a dud, a loser. Nobody wanted to watch him anymore. So they used this as an excuse to finally shit can him and hopefully find somebody who could make them more money without insulting 55% of the country or more. Because whether 51 voted for Donald Trump, it's about 50, a little over, you know, yeah, I know they say a little under, but let's just all concede some of the fraudulent bullshit they put in the system. Donald Trump won the election. He won it handily. More people than not agree with Donald Trump's policies. Those are true statements. And even more, I would hope, and I hope we're going to find out, even more of a majority would think that what Kimmel did is just bad. It's just being a bad person. And God, I hope huge majorities would tell us lying is wrong. Lying to achieve a destructive end is evil. You're not a good person. You're not a decent person. And that should be the reason for the punishment, not whether or not he had a right to say it. I think what the right is trying to say right now is enough with the dangerous lies. When are you going to stop with the dangerous lies? Senator Murphy, Congresswoman Omar, Congressman Schiff. When are we going to stop with them? When is society once again going to find this seemingly self-evident assertion that lying is wrong? When are we going to hold people accountable for it again? When somebody used to do something, okay, again, if you worked at freaking Applebee's, folks, as a waitress or a waiter, and you spread a lie that, so-and-so, another waitress or waiter, hates black people and carries a gun and was talking about hurting black people, and then somebody did something about it, ended up somebody got hurt, and it was all a total lie, would Applebee's keep that employee? Come on. Give me a break. Or would Applebee's say that waitress or waiter had a free speech right to malign that person to the point where someone thought they were a threat to their personhood and freaking shot them? That person doesn't bear any responsibility at all? Take your concerns over free speech and stick them up your fat asses. This has nothing to do with free speech, Joe, and everybody else. You all of a sudden give a shit about free speech. Where did you rise to my defense? When Twitter threw me off their social media platform, it destroyed the accounts of my businesses, even though they had nothing to do with it, because I was disseminating true information that they didn't like. Did anybody stand up and rise up and defend me? Any of them? No. Absolutely not. In fact, the original person to be deplatformed, Alex Jones, was sued for billions. Over what? What did they say it was? Did they care about his right to speak freely on his show? No. They said he pushed a dangerous lie that directly harmed them. Right. Hypocrites. Bunch of hypocrites, man. Let's see if we can get to the rest of them here before we gotta go. Oh, I think I got to that already, right? Yeah, I did. Rich, Kimmel was told that he wouldn't be independent if he apologized, but he refused. Yeah, I heard the little shit was running around fuming. This is what I'm saying, Peppers. Like, he believes this lie. Like, how much is Kimmel really responsible for it, right? I mean, if we look at the case of Stephen King, with the case of Stephen King, he believed it. In some ways, he's a victim. I don't know if that's the case here with Kimmel, but you can't be that freaking stupid at this point to know what you said isn't true. And it wasn't a joke when you say something like that that's not true. By the way, Jimmy, maybe this is why nobody finds your dumb ass funny. The best jokes are always the ones that have elements of truth. Everything you joked about was a lie. A dangerous lie. And nobody was laughing. How many buttons did they have to push in your how many fake audience buttons did they have to push in your shitty little studio? He was actually going to double down and say that people were taking him out of context. So that's when they made the decision to extend the 3-day suspension to indefinite suspension. I thank you for bringing this up, Peppers, because it's like people always get on with these stupid little narratives, and then the details that mean all the difference. They make all the difference. The details that matter to provide context get lost. Andrew said, I'll have to watch this later, but left has been vile this week. With that said, this assassination now stinks like the fish guts after being left in the bilge of a Florida deep-sea fishing ship. Ooh, God. And I got to leave the rest of that off, though, Andrew, because, I mean, we don't know what's going on with that yet. So, I'll allow you to say what you want to do, but, I'll allow you to make the assertions you want to make. But, I mean, I do know what you're saying, and believe me, there are a lot of people, obviously, who have concerns like you do. We'll have to see how it goes, Mr. Grilled Cheese, in this climate of cartoon characters in Congress that represent bundled ideology, fraud or not, I wonder if there's merit in asking Ds and Republicans, respectively, what congressmen they align most with to drill into ideological alignment. Choosing those for multiple choice would be difficult and is unfortunately open to bias. You may have better ways. I've thought about this in the past before. I have, because saying their names does open it up to bias. Just the same way that you would say, I mean, the media could easily twist that kind of a question with Republicans. So if they call themselves a Republican, the media would easily twist it, make Trump look bad, and say, well, which one do you identify with? The America First wing represented by Donald Trump, or the traditional Republican wing represented by Ronald Reagan? And that's not really a legitimate question, of course, because the people who claim to be more Reagan Republicans, in fact, hated Ronald Reagan when he was alive. And Ronald Reagan was actually more America First than what we now deem to be traditional Republicans. So just throwing their name in there, a bunch of people would flock to Ronald Reagan, right? Because nostalgia, right? So it is a tough, but I do understand what you're trying to get at, which is why I thought, the leftist ideology is the way to go about it. Much the same way, until there is more consensus view that people understand, like we have on the right, where America First or traditional Republican, which I even don't like that traditional Republican one, but we have to go with it because that's the vocabulary that has been established, right? I do see your point, though. I do. Maybe there's a better way to go at it. But for now, I think the ideology part of it is the best. Because you could say something like far left, like AOC, right? Or just which congressman or woman do you most thinks best represents your views? And, we could say something like AOC or Nancy Pelosi or whatever. I mean, you're going to find the vast majority of Democrats are going to pick the more left-wing one. And we know this. We know this from exit polling in recent Democratic presidential nominations, which, for regardless of who you intend to vote for or did vote for today, if it's an exit poll, right? Who do you agree most with on these issues, right? And Bernie was easily winning that, easily going away winning that. I have a small project for Charlie that I think can possibly help the political violence situation on the political side. I need your advice in getting it to the right people. Okay, did you send me a if you go to locals and you send a support question, I could hold on, let me see. Locals. You may have done it already. Support. There's quite a few recent. Let me see if I can find you. Did you try to get me through LinkedIn, Peppers? Let me go to all instead of just tips. Tip one thing. I sent a support question by email. Okay. I don't know what your email is, so we're going to have to play. I don't want you to put it public either. So let me see if I can find you. Let me look at Drano's post. What one? Oh, DC Drano did take that post down, by the way, for whoever sent that. Thank you for sending that to thanks for sending. I got it. I got you. Hold on, Peppers. Don't give this email away, Peppers. I mean, I'll do my best. Right now, as you can imagine, they got 1 million people, contacting them. But there you go. I got you. Okay. You'll see. I'm just emailed you right back. Okay. This is Owen. I get Steven. I'm 30. What's the point of voting? We're going to get rid we're going to get rid of one group of dirty, rotten scoundrels that don't do a damn thing and replace them with another group that also won't do a damn thing. In the aftermath of this murder, the insufficiency of our system to respond to anything on the left. If democracy means me being subject to murder by ugly, godless communist freaks, then I guess call me a fascist, because whatever system prevents that or actually punishes it, I support. This is, and I get that, Owen, because I mean, it's now about survival. Forget about representation. It's not just representation anymore. I understand I understand the sentiment, because first of all, we're hearing this like crazy. They didn't represent me. Just to give you guys an example, we pulled South Carolina, and people were like, everybody, like, I mean, I can't believe the environment. They're just like, this Americans can be funny. One dude was like, Lindsay's too busy taking it up I'm like, oh my God. Like the environment is unbelievable. He doesn't do a damn thing to protect me or anyone or so I mean, it's so bad and huge undecided. And then trying to blame people, and they're like, I don't know, I just don't get. That's why one of the reasons why we all discuss, because we are all seeing something like this. We all discuss putting that, I'm undecided because I won't vote option in there, which is what is really, really huge, because it is showing us exactly how many who say they're undecided are undecided. But at the same time, guys, in that race, you have an alternative, and it's really time. This is just unbelievable. I mean, the lies are unbelievable. But you know what? That's not even a small lie. Hold on, guys from Rasmussen watching the show, and it's like the lie, like every facet. This is so true. All to win elections, every facet of this space has been touched and corroded by their lies. Here is a huge one, and we're all just going to forget about it. There's an entire story. Like, let's play this. And I know this seemingly is unrelated, but it's not. It's not unrelated at all. Here we go. And I remember having to go. Here's David Plouffe. Okay. Obviously, this is the guy who made the scam artist we all know as Nate Silver. All right. David Plouffe actually just gave Nate Silver his polling in 2008, and Nate Silver was blogging under a pen name, pretending as if he was a guru who had this like crazy sophisticated model, and Obama was actually going to do better than people thought that he was going to do. It was all bullshit. David Plouffe was giving him polling and telling him, believe me, but even if you don't, trust me. And when we're right and I win, I'm going to make you into something, because we need somebody like you anyway for narrative purposes. So drop your career, which is over anyway. It's a dead career, as a failed sports handicapper, and come on over to our side, since you're a liberal bitch anyway. And we all know you agree with us, right? So that's what happened. David Plouffe, if you guys remember, was going on and on during the campaign about how Trump's polling about, Trump's polling numbers are dropping. Kamala Harris is surging, and it's because of the Puerto Rico island comment and this and that, and he's cratering on inflation. And it was one bullshit lie after another. Okay, because of course that never happened. Here we go.
When we got in, my recollection is some of that snapped back, but we were behind. I mean, I think it surprised people because there was these public polls that came out in late September, early October, showing us with leads that we never saw. I mean, it was just basically a race that in the battlegrounds was 46-47, 47-48. So that's not where we started. We started behind. She was able to climb out, I think, even after the...
That's not the story they told at the time. If you remember, I myself was attacked because I in fact saw the weekend polling, which was done to push Biden out of the race. It was a large survey, every state from Minnesota to New Jersey to Florida, and it showed Biden getting crushed everywhere. and her doing marginally better, but nonetheless, she was still down. And by the way, their polling in New Jersey was wrong, and she nearly lost that state too. But it was all a lie, all a fiction. And he goes on afterwards, like as if he never said this. Now you're hearing this interview as if he's like, well, no, we were always behind. I don't know what the media was talking about. What are you talking about, bro? Here is the freaking story by the Washington Post. They were shocked they got their asses kicked that much because David Plouffe was telling them all that they were bouncing back. They were ahead. They scammed the Democratic donors. They scammed their Democratic voters. And they tried to scam you. I remember like it was yesterday going on the Steve Gruber show. We had just done a poll inside Michigan. Trump was up by 3. Gruber had somebody from Mitchell Research poll it for him, for himself. And we compared the results. She was down. Then they come out with polling where he says they're up 4 points. And they just leak it to the media. She was never ahead in the state of Michigan. Never. Not one time during the entire damn election. The problem is we have a political entity in this country, and both sides lie. They do. I can say that without even batting an eye. Both sides don't kill in mass. Both sides don't have widespread acceptance of violence, but both lie. The difference is one tells frequent dangerous lies to intentionally sow hate of the other, and that hate is supposed to distract you from realizing that they are really your enemy. They are really the cause of your grievance. They are really the cause of your downtrodden position. They are really the cause of you waking up every day and feeling like you are never going to win this race because as hard as you run, you're not getting anywhere. They use hatred and deceit to cover for their own ass because they can't earn regime credibility on their own. How do you do that? By making people's lives better. By governing in a way that helps your constituency. For years, people on the right have said things like, the Democratic Party never wants to help Black community. They want them to be poor and in the ghetto on the progressive plantation forever. How can you even dispute that? They've been doing this for years. You think Tammany actually wanted the Irish to get politically mature and ahead? No, they'd lose their entire machine. They want them to have just enough to feel grateful about the crumbs they give them, but they never actually wanted them to politically mature and move out to the suburbs and get GI Bills from World War II, which helped them quite a bit. Same thing with ethnic Italians. They never wanted that. And they got to have somebody to blame for the times when they get elected and still nothing changes. They need someone to blame for that. That's where you guys come in. That's where Charlie Kirk comes in. That's where Tucker Carlson comes in. That's where I come in. That's where Steve Bannon comes in. That's where Jack comes in. That's where Donald Trump comes in. That's where JD Vance comes in. They got to hate somebody, folks. God forbid they hate David for lying like a piece of shit. He should have been preparing his side for a loss so they don't lose their freaking minds. Burn down cities and shoot people like they always do. Don't worry. Republicans are stupid. You'll be getting Virginia and New Jersey soon enough if this keeps up. Don't worry. Electing a woman to office of the governor in a very crucial state who works for an agency who's had a hand in political assassinations on U.S. soil, who lied about intelligence to get us into one war after another. That's the resume of the woman that's very likely to be elected the governor of Virginia. So don't tell me it doesn't still work. There's a lot more race to run. And none of this is a defense of Republican policy or the Republican Party or Republican politicians. It's just a statement of just statements of fact. They have yet to, like, they're not running on immigration policies that make people want to hurt immigrants. They're running on the reality of immigration policies. They're not saying now go out and hurt those immigrants. Like, that's not what they're doing. Because honestly, I've thought a lot about this. They're taking your job is about as hard as they can get. They're not saying go hurt them because they're taking your jobs. They're not saying they're fascists and they're going to come and steal your kids, or execute your loved ones for being gay, or, you remember those articles with the these old white men, the kids in the bed masturbating, like, in this Republican politician jumps up on them. Like, they don't do things like that. Yeah, I just said that out loud. Just remember that. Think about that. The lengths to which we've seen these people go. And their influencer accounts, man, after pretending they widespread condemnation of this assassination, they freaking days, within days, they're back to it. Within days. They don't give a shit. And not for nothing, but, like, I understand too, Owen, and the rest of what you guys are saying. Like, the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump's not helping this situation at all when it comes to what you're talking about with, what does voting matter? He's telling people to vote for Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham goes out there and takes a friggin' bow as if, like he ever did anything. Or like Charlie was ever along. Yeah, never mind. I ran the clip last week. I'm not going to speak for a man who's not here to speak for himself. I'll run the clip and you can hear it out of his own mouth. That's what I did last week. Because, yeah, he was super supportive of that dude. It's just, Republicans got to get their heads out of their asses if they want to be effective at countering this. I'm not sure how long they think they have. All right. I guess it's 3:56. I'm probably going to have to go. I've been rambling for longer than I expected. What are you going to do? All right. I will see you guys. Locals, I'll see you real soon on CarPlay, by the way. But I'm going to have to do another little video, and we're going to have to talk more about this questionnaire. I'll throw it and put it up on Locals so we can start to figure out, what the best way is to move this thing forward. If you guys have questions that you think, your suggestions or whatever, maybe you've gone through other studies like this. I've been doing that. I'm curious your thoughts on what you thought was valuable and what wasn't. But I am trying to do something a little bit different this time. Okay? All right. I will talk to you guys very, very soon. I hope you all do your best to have a wonderful weekend. Those of you we won't see till Monday. But, keep the faith, folks. Keep the race. Pace yourself. It's going to be a long one.